What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you're listening to Mike on the Mic. I'm sitting here with previous NFL wide receiver for the Chicago Bears, Kansas City Chiefs, and now Toronto Argonaut, Daniel Braverman. Daniel, thank you for being on the show today. It's truly an honor. It was great seeing you. What have you been up to? How's the COVID life, or not the COVID life, the quarantine life, and everything been for you so far?
Man, everything's been good. I appreciate you having me on here, man. But I've just been training now since I signed that contract to Toronto. Just been training, trying to get back into everything and hit that thing rolling come May 16th.
Right. And one thing I wanted to talk to you first, I want to say congratulations on the Toronto Argonauts, because not a lot of people understand, even though it's in Canada, this is competitive football. You got guys like everybody knows Last Chance U. They got Ronald Ali's on the defense. You got guys like Martavius Bryant just signed today. People like you, who insane college stats, insane. There's so much hype around this team. What was one of your biggest decisions going into signing with Toronto? What really made you interested in going that path?
Yeah, so last year I was really signed to Calgary again. I had a 2-year deal, so I was going to go back to Calgary, but COVID happened and the season went down, shut down. So I said, man, what am I going to do now? I didn't know how COVID was really going to end up. So I said, well, let me get started in my next career, which was coaching.
Right.
So went into coaching, did some coaching in high schools at Michigan. And then I came back down here to St. Thomas Aquinas. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but that's like one of the biggest high schools in the country. Yeah, man. We had, numerous SEC guys and stuff like that. But that was real fun, man. And then I did personal training on the side, training, young high school receivers, middle school guys, just trying to teach them what I know.
Right.
And then, as I'm coaching, I get a call from my CFL agent. Hey, man, there's teams trying to trade for you. Do you think you're still interested? I said, for sure, because I love coaching, but I still miss playing,
Right.
So when I found out someone wanted to trade for me, I was like, man, well, if they want me, I definitely want to go play too. So that definitely helped a lot, them wanting me. So
Definitely. And I just want to say, I want to give you your respect for everything so far. Helping these kids and being a part of that, I think, is so huge, not only for you, but for the communities that you're helping. But I guess that leads into my next question for you. We all know who you are. We all know about the Ohio State game, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But for you, what was the moment that you realized you were an NFL-ready wide receiver and you had the talent, whether it be in high school, middle school, or whatever it was?
Yeah, I think after my first 4 games, because that year was Michigan State, Ohio State, then Murray State, and then Georgia Southern.
Right.
And after the first 4 games, I think I was like leading the NCAA with like 50 to 60 catches. I was ahead by a good like 20 catches or something like that. And that's when I knew I was like, okay, now we on the national spotlight.
Right.
I'm getting that recognition I felt like I should have with the amount of numbers and stats I was putting up. So then when Urban Meyer pretty much said he's an NFL receiver, that's when agents started talking to me and stuff like that. And that's pretty much when I knew I was like, all right, let's take this thing to the NFL. That was always my dream and goal. I
Right.
always trained for that, but I didn't want to put all my eggs in that basket because I didn't know. I didn't know how to get there. All I knew was ball out. That's all I cared about. Every week, I'm trying to be the best player on the field, and let's see where the chips fall. So that's how I took it. And then after I got a little bit of praise, and I was like, all right, now we got to turn it up a little bit more.
Definitely. And to talk about that and to lead into that, the Ohio State game, obviously I had to talk to you about it. 2015, Western Michigan versus Ohio State. There's guys like Michael Thomas, Ezekiel Elliott, Curtis Samuel, and others. And you completely annihilated them stat-wise. 10 receptions, 123 yards, 1 touchdown. I believe they lost the game. It was like 12-38. But you yourself completely balled out on such a high level on primetime TV. What was that like for you personally? Just that feeling of knowing that, wow, this is a moment that like I could potentially go to the NFL after this because of the people that are watching this game and the magnitude that it means, beating and running into someone like Ohio State's defense. It's no joke. So what did that mean for you?
Man, it meant a lot. It meant that the hard work that I really put in, showed, and it taught me a life lesson that if you put in the work it'll show. It'll show. You know, everyone has a different time when they hit, but as long as you put in that work when no one's watching, it'll show up when people are watching. You know, no one knows when, but you just got to be ready for the opportunity. So that's what it showed me. But also, you know, growing up in South Florida, you know, you used all these names, and the number one, I think Marshawn Lattimore was out there, Von Bell. But to me, and I'm sure, you know, like my other receiver, we had the mentality like we didn't care who we played against.
Right.
You know, you know, growing up in South Florida, you know, Corey Davis, he was from Chicago, but we had the mentality like we don't care, you know, and
Right.
that's how I felt about it. Like I didn't even study those DBs to be honest. I was just like, I'm gonna do my thing, and that's what we did, man. It was a good game. It was fun.
Definitely. And I also, I did some research on you. I realized you were previous teammates with Amari Cooper. I just wanted to ask, when you get like to have conversations, I don't know if you got to talk to Michael Thomas during that game or Zeke or anybody like that, but when you have these conversations with other star receivers like that, or even Ezekiel Elliott, what is that like for you? What do you ask them about? Do you just focus on your game, or do you ask advice? Do you have like questions for them?
No, usually like I'll say, you know, because I don't get it's not like being starstruck or anything like that because they're athletes
Right.
just different positions and all that, different opportunities, stuff like that. But like, I like to ask guys, you know, releases and stuff like that, because everyone has a different type of toolbox for releases. So when I talk to receivers, it's more about releases. Other position guys, not so much, just more just crediting their game and hey, you fun to watch, good stuff out there. That's really it. But I remember like when I was with the Bears, I had Eddie Royal on my team. And man, he was great. We practiced against the Patriots. I'd ask Edelman what releases he does, Amendola what releases. It's really I really like to study the game and just study releases, study how to get open and stuff like that. So that was the main thing when I see another guy who plays my position and stuff like that, even if he's not in the NFL, he could be in college still. I'll still like to see what he does because everyone brings a different little package.
Right.
So and a receiver, man, it's all about who has the most tools. You know, you got to you got to have the most tools and the most way outs. You know, the most escape routes. So that's really it.
Yeah, and you brought up the Chicago Bears. I wanted to ask you. You're drafted in 2016 in seventh round. Um, First, I want to ask you about the draft. What is that like? What is it like? Everyone always talks about the first round. Everybody's there. They're all getting pictures with the commissioner, and that's all funny and everything. But for you personally, what is it like for you waiting for that call? Are you anxious? Are you excited? Do you have questions? Like, are you questioning it? What goes into that process? And further, I kind of just wanted to talk about it because they really don't show it. Usually you get the phone call. How is that like for you? What is it like being drafted like that? Do you get a phone call? Do you get to talk to John Fox and George McCaskey and others?
Yeah. So the draft for me was kind of stressful because I mean I knew I wasn't a first round guy. I knew I wasn't a second round guy. Um, but after that, from 3 to 7, I knew there was a possibility. I was getting talks from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Um, and it was kind of stressful because I did leave early. So I was like, damn, I got to get drafted though.
Right.
So that was a little bit stressful. And then falling towards the end of the day, I started getting some free agent calls from other teams like the Cowboys, the Bills, Falcons, and while the ticker's still going. So I'm like, damn, well, I guess I might be a free agent. Then they called, and I spoke with John Fox to talk to Pace. And when you got drafted, it's definitely a relief. It's like, all right, I got a home now. Now you can breathe for a second, but you also know that, all right, now is real time to step up again. Um, and I was just with my friends, my agent, my family, nothing big because I didn't know when I was going to get picked. So I just kept it low key. And, we went out that night. It was a good night, but that's it. Nothing crazy. Just, you know,
Right.
good times, man. Good times.
Definitely. And to be drafted to the Chicago Bears, we don't have a history of championships, but we have a history of a fan base. You have a history of the culture that they bring, the Monsters of the Midway. What is that like for you? I believe you were 22 years old when you were drafted. You're so young and you're going into huge this huge picture of like what the Chicago Bears organization means, what it represents, what the fans expect. I know you being a part of the Chicago Bears, you obviously saw it. It gets a little nasty sometimes. I'm a big Bears fan, but I'm going to be honest. The way they treat some of the fans, or not the fans, the players, it gets a little rough. For you, what did it mean joining the Bears organization? Were you nervous, or was it just like, wow, I'm a part of a huge organization?
Um, in the beginning, it was like, wow, it's the Chicago Bears. And then, like, as I was going through it, I don't think it really hit me how big it really was. You
Right.
know, I still don't think I realized how big it was until like 2 years later or a year and a half later. Because I think I was just so caught up in the moment that I didn't take time to see the whole picture. And that's definitely something I could, fix on. But I don't think I really captured how big it was. I knew it was big. I'm like, damn, it's Chicago Bears is legendary, football team, legendary organization. We practiced in the Walter Payton Center, so that
Right.
kind of like took me too. So just being blessed, man, just being totally blessed, man. I was a small kid in South Florida playing Optimist, little league football, and you grow up in South Florida, you got 5 stars everywhere, 5 star, four
Oh,
star.
definitely.
I mean, my high school team had about like 15 to 20 D1 players, in between two classes. So it wasn't, you know, I didn't even expect to really even be in that position. Like out of the 4 receivers on my high school team, I was the smallest school receiver, and I was putting up numbers, and so we all were. So like everything to me was more of a blessing. And even at Western Michigan, I didn't even realize how big Western Michigan Kalamazoo was to that
Right.
city. So it was crazy, man. Just seeing now, especially now, seeing how deep it is, how deep the fan base runs. It's awesome though. It's really cool.
Right, and I still see, and you might believe it or you might not. You still sometimes see Daniel Braverman jerseys. You still see a lot of people talking about you, and you were here for a very short time. But Chicago fans always remember it. A big like losing you for me. It was like one of those things where, sorry, my contact keeps moving. I don't know why.
It's all right.
Um, it's one of those things where I just didn't understand the move. And you look at the receiving core right now. Not to be disrespectful, I don't know if you followed the games this year, but we had guys in fist fights getting suspended, and I go, Daniel Braverman would have taken complete control of all the opportunities given while losing guys like that. Um,
Yeah.
so to ask you, you mentioned Eddie Royal, you mentioned others. I'm going to ask you the Jay Cutler question. I want to ask, was there a relationship there? Did you talk to anybody, not specifically Jay, but you mentioned Eddie. Who did you grow a bond with? Who was someone that you thought was interesting? And what did you feel about the culture in the locker room? Because this around this time was kind of the fall of that era. There was the fall of the Cutler era, the John Fox era. Did it feel toxic to you by any means? And did it feel like that it wasn't really a family? Because it was like that was the last year. After that year, um, that's why I wish they gave you a little bit more time. Matt Nagy got brought in and others as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I
That was
I thought,
offense for me.
huh?
That would have been the good offense with Nagy. See, I
Oh
came in
my God.
with Gaines, and we were running 3 tight end sets, and we would have like 5 tight ends active, like 3 fullbacks active, and it was just like, obviously I came from a spread offense, so it was a little bit of a different type of play style for me. Um, that was one thing, and then when Eddie went down, and when I had to catch the Detroit Lions, I thought I'd get some more PT after that. They kind of shut me down after that. I'm a player where if you utilize me, I'll put up numbers for you, but you got to know how to utilize me. And the
Right.
year I was there was more. I mean, I think we had like 4 quarterbacks that year. I love Matt Barkley. I thought he was really good. Hoyer was a great intermediate to short pass game guy. Honestly, he was smart, but you have to build, rapport with these guys, and our offense wasn't really of a spread vertical passing attack. I
Right.
mean, Jordan Howard was the beast, and he was killing it. And I love Jordan Howard, bro. He's a beast, and still talk to him. And he's a great guy. Um, but the offense wasn't the most fitted for me, and that's just what it was. But the guys off the field, man, Eddie was a good guy. Eddie was a good mentor. Cam Meredith, Alshon, Kyle Long, like I said, Barkley, those guys, you kind of stay in your position group. And then, I was on P Squad. So my own problem was I was frustrated with my own situation instead of
Right.
just accepting and taking advantage of the opportunity and all that stuff and just being, because I felt like I wanted to play. I should play, and that maybe that's my own thing. But so that was it, man. And the Pace was definitely a guy who was bringing a team bonding around. When I first got there, it didn't feel like, hey, this is a championship team. We're
Right.
going to nothing. Like the first day PJ Fleck, got into Western Michigan, he's like, we're winning the national championship. Now that's, crazy to say national championship, but at least our standards was a championship standard. Felt like when I first got there, it was kind of like, you know, a different standard. Oh, let me give a shout out to Zach Miller, Cravon LeBlanc, Bellamy, Deontay Thompson, Deion Bush, DHC, DeAndre Hall, those other guys. Amos, yeah.
Right.
Uh, no, going against those guys too, Bryce Callahan, LeBlanc, those were good guys to go against. But yeah, man, all that stuff. I got lost.
Right. And it's one of those things, and you brought up an amazing point. Jordan Howard was the Chicago Bears offense in 2016. And it really felt like, and it's no disrespect to Jordan, but this is exactly how it went. It was run, short pass, punt. And that was literally the entire offense of the 2016 Bears. If I saw you, and when you went to Kansas City for a short time, I thought, all right, this is going to be something special as well. Because with Andy Reid, but those opportunities, it all comes down to
Well,
opportunities.
KC was they had you already got Tyreek. They signed Sammy, and they had Demarcus Robinson, who was a draft pick. They had Chris Conley, who was a senior leader, fifth year guy. And then you had Anthony Thomas, so it would look weird for Braverman to just take the Anthony Thomas spot, and he took a pay cut in that camp.
Right.
Me battling, he took a little pay cut. I also did get hurt. I strained my groin, missed like a week. Can't miss a week in camp. And then for the practice squad spot, it was Garrett Dieter, who was Mahomes' best friend. He's a great guy, dude. He works
Right.
his butt. He definitely works his butt off. He deserves that spot. I'm not trying to talk down, but he was the P squad guy. He and Mahomes had a great relationship. And then it was Marcus Kemp, who was like, he's a good player too, man. He's a great special teams guy. They have him on special teams. So that room was pretty filled up. But man, that was one of my most fun springs and fall camps ever because I was doing a bunch of jet sweeps, man. It was a really good offense.
Right.
And
Right.
Andy Reid is a real cool guy.
And I wanted to ask you, like, did you grow? You mentioned that Patrick Mahomes is a great guy. I mean, did you grow a relationship with him? Did you have any conversations with him? What was that like?
Yeah, it was just normal conversations. I was the new guy of the group. Like the whole
Right.
group there was already a whole season. So I was the only new guy walking in. So it was just normal football conversations, like on the field, in the meeting room, stuff like that. He was actually, when I first got there on P Squad, he was the P Squad quarterback. So we had like a couple of nice plays and stuff like that. And it was all good, man. It was fun. That's a good group of guys. They definitely, and they're a very tight knit group. So
Right.
that receiver room is very tight knit.
And I know you might not want to answer this question. If you're not fine with that, that's totally fine. I wanted to ask you right now, the goal, Toronto. You're going to Toronto, you're going to ball out, you're going to do your thing that we all know you're going to do. But what is the end goal for Daniel Braverman? This is my last question for you. Is the goal coming back to the NFL eventually, or is it just writing it out? You could go back to coaching. You're just going to go as far as you can go with this.
I'm definitely going to go as far as I can go. I'm going to go until they say you can't go no more. Because I feel like it would almost be a disservice if I didn't, to myself and to God and to my family. So I'm going to just go until they say I can, because I feel like I'm going to be successful in my next endeavor. So I think I'm going to just use my physical abilities as much as I can, because I was just last year when I told all my guys, I'm done, I'm hanging it up.
Right.
I took like 6-7 months off, and then I started training again. And all the guys I train with who are NFL guys, Sky Moore plays for the Colts, Rashard Matthews. I think you'll hear about Sky Moore soon. So I think he's a sleeper. But
Oh, most definitely.
and the coach, they're like, man, you sure you want to go? Like you're sorry, my battery's at 10% now. They're like,
No,
you sure
you're
you want
good.
to go? flying and stuff like that. So it had me in the thoughts, and then when I went coach at St. Thomas, I'd race these kids and I'd be beating them, and I just felt like I still had it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm still
Right.
too quick to really just let it go right now. I feel like I'll be like, dang, why did I let it go? Especially like Toronto. Toronto's lit. So it's going to be a fun city. You just get to play ball. Like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? You just get to play
Right. It's
ball.
just whatever you got to do.
Yeah, and me, I like to be the best at anything I do. So I don't like not even trying to be the best. So I know there's spots at receiver in Toronto. I know there's receivers that do well. So I want to be in that top group. I'm trying to get in that top 5, top 10 of the CFL. And then whatever happens from there, what happens from there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But well, thank you for being a guest on the show today, Daniel. I wish you nothing but the best in Toronto. I'm hoping to get a jersey, not from you, but I'm hoping to order one. I hope to see you back in the NFL one day. Whatever happens with you, I wish you nothing but the best, brother. It was amazing talking to you today.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, and good luck to all this stuff. I'll definitely be tuning in, man. Thank you.
Thank you, man.